want to tell the information which I have yet. There are like 3 channeling videos which I have yet not found time to translate, and I wanted to give the information while it's still fresh. So yesterday evening we did a live streaming channeling of channeling the moon, and there was lots of information, interesting information, and in some information which I was like shocked, and I was like a little bit afraid. Well, is it? It's like, is it safe to talk about this? And I remember that like a couple of years ago, this was the common thing, that thinking like, is it safe to talk about this? And now I feel the same, but I think whatever happens, happens. Wait, I need to take the line. So yesterday I do always lately, like we gather some questions from the website, and then we do a live streaming, and people can participate and ask these questions on the website, which is outlineofflinepeace.info. And then there was really interesting, because people were curious, were interested in about the moon, and I said, well, I've never actually channeled somebody from the moon. I've channeled beings that share some information about the moon, but not actually channeled somebody from the moon. And I said the most easiest starting point for me would be just call Enrico, because what I understand, Enrico as contacts has the ability to communicate with really variety of beings, and we just call him, and he's like, okay, what do you want to talk? And my father was there that asks questions from the audience, and he says, well, this and that. And the funniest thing what happened was, they said moon orbitary observation station, and this was the funniest thing that we I was like, yeah, this is a really funny name for it. We call it moon, but it's like a orbital observation center, whatever. And then from the channeling I see Enrico enters some kind of other being. I will draw this being. He's a white tall. He's tall. His skin is white, and he has a bigger head. But he looks energy, I feel, normally like a human, but a different chassis human, different genetical human. But his energy is like human. And wait, I'll stop. And he's like, he has a suit and some kind of medals here, but I believe he's like classified as some kind of a what he said, he's a leader of the political situation on the moon, and with the allowances on the moon. And then what he started, then the thing before we started the channel is Enrico starts talking with him, and he's like, I will not share information about this. And then Enrico says, okay, wait, and then he puts the channeling state on a pause. It's a really strange state. It's like all the time you're like do 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 do, and then what I feel is that they are having a interesting conversation, a really interesting conversation, and then slowly it's like, okay, there will be a channeling, but in my mind I thought, well, he rejected, so there will not be the channeling with that being, but I don't know, they agreed on something, or they I don't know why did they agreed on this. So and what happened was that after a few moments, like maybe it took a time of 1 minute to 2 minutes, I start feeling that the being is coming like inside of me, or the energy is coming inside of me, and the first thing what I felt is that hands like turn like this, and it's like, oh, it hurts, I'm not, and maybe the overall energy aligning took maybe 5 minutes. And then first question that he asks, what I don't know how it's in English. From what kind? What is your source? Who are you? Like, are you some kind of political involvement, or who are you? And then we started talking. My father started telling that we don't go by any source. We don't go by any political party. We are individuals. And then he said, and the online people that are watching, what's their source? And he said, the same, just people curious. And he said, okay, tourists. And then he later said that, actually, we never had tourists. We always had like political parties go to channeling, and he was really interested and he wanted to share information, but he said lots of information we will not share, it's classified. But first of all, I don't remember exactly what he said by word to word, but at the beginning he was telling like the system that the observation center, the Lunar observation center, is a ship. It's a huge laboratory where many civilizations are involved, and it's a neutral zone. It's a neutral zone where, for example, enemies don't have any allowance to war with each other on the observation center. And what I understood, this was the interesting part, that it's many civilizations genetically. What he said is that when they go aside, like they meet these two genetical different beings, one of them can turn really aggressive against the other from energetical instincts, like for example, they want to just beat him, or they want to eat him instantly. It's like genetical instincts that take action. And he said that on this lunar observation center, they put out this energy that everything becomes neutral. They have this special energy surveillance, observations, and everything becomes neutral. And I said that these civilizations that work here, they have a complete follow the laws that have been given. And I understood that the benefit of this lunar, and they said that Mars doesn't have a lunar observation center, but other hostile territories have them, because many civilizations would really love to work on Earth, but because the Earth is inhabited by other beings, they cannot do anything on the Earth. They cannot come down here, take anything, like do, for example, a neutral research. But once you have agreed on the observation center, the Lunar Observation Center, to agree to work here, they give you all the instruments, all the technology, and really deep and strong laws that only you are here to do this, nothing else. And you cannot avoid this. You cannot ignore this. And this is because it becomes neutral, because if you want to observe a planet, an interesting planet where there is like enemies there living, and you cannot go there and experiment on things like nature and stuff, they put there this lunar observation, and you can do everything from there. And it's a really what I felt, it's a really nice place, and it's a really needed place for many times. And what else they said is that maybe 500 years or 1,000 years ago, the laboratory, the lunar laboratory, wasn't that inhabited. It just lately it started to get more and more inhabitants on the lunar, because more and more civilizations are interested. And I understood that they're like put back many that like don't allow. And we asked about the dust. Or he shared information about the dust. I don't quite remember. And he said that the lunar laboratory produces a huge statical energy field. Like understood from the technological source that they have on this, the planet creates a huge statical electricity field around it. And he said that it strongly attracts all the dust from the cosmos. And he said that at the beginning, the lunar observation center was like I don't understand, from a white metal. You'd say it was a structure from white metal, but now it's surrounded by cosmical dust. And understood from 100,000 years, 400,000 years, the dust just collected more and more. And I understand this dust is from meteorites, from cosmical dust, just. and this was another interesting information. Then I did a research on Wikipedia, and they said, yeah, that the soil on the, well, whatever the information was, but he said that the soil is statically electrically charged. And I said, oh yeah, this somehow corresponds with the channeling. And then I was like, oh, this is really nice. And another thing was that I asked this being how large in diameter is the lunar laboratory, and he said 3,300 kilometers, which differed a little bit from Wikipedia, which said that 3,400 kilometers. And then I was curious, is this channeling translation error? Is this the being's error, mistake, or is this the our scientists who have never been on the lunar have like calculated this from a great distance and like, yeah, it should be approximately something like this. And I was curious about this error. So let's get to the interesting point. So the Lunar is an observational center. The Lunar is an observation center, laboratory, and many civilizations there have the allowance, the grants that they can go there and do a specific research. It's what they said. It's basically like a huge office center, like a huge office center laboratory, where every civilization has their own aligned territory, their own aligned entrance gates, their own aligned exit gates from which they can come and go. And they have their own cabinets, you can say, where you can do the stuff that you can do, and nothing else. And then the most interesting thing was that they said that at the 1969 and in 1917 too, there were a group of tourists, a scientist crew from Earth, from I would say the NASA or the US, that were invited to the only scientists, like they said, like 5 to 7 scientists, 5, 7, 8. Like I didn't see how much they were. I didn't count them, but they were like a group of scientists that were allowed to go to the. As they say, it's an exhibition center on the Lunar. It's like where you can go and look at these things what they have there on Lunar. It's like a hall created. And the scientists went there. No military, no nothing, just pure only scientists would understood that the Lunar, this being said that they wanted to introduce new technology to scientists and put them down here on Earth. And this was really funny because the next thing what happened, what he said, the scientists become shocked, the scientists become amazed that they have like, and what I saw was technologies, like awesome technologies, like really sensitive anti-gravity technologies that can help in really to work with really fragile things. Like you take something and it lifts up and it floats easily in the air. It's like a magnetical field. Another thing was technologies like a huge screen that it works like a window. A huge screen, it works like a window. It's like a wall, like a television, but it works like a window. You can go and look like this, and you don't see any sense that it's a TV screen. It's like a pure window. All of a sudden, you just see through like a pure window. And I forgot there was another thing which I forgot because I don't keep anything in my memory. I don't have the capacity. And the scientists were amazed because they instantly knew that these technologies can be integrated into Earth and used on Earth. And in many fields. Each technology, they said that it could be used in many fields on Earth. And what they did is when they come down to Earth, back to the military was questioning them. What did you see? What did you see? What did they show you? And everything detail by detail. And I understood. I remember that once in one dream, military took me away on questioning, and what they do, I believe Enrico just showed me how it could be, how it could happen, and they took me away for questioning. And what they do is just that they drug you, they put you some kind of a drug that your memory works perfectly. It's like if I turn here and back, I didn't even see what color of a car is driving there, but with this drug it creates that slowly, detailedly, you see all the picture that your eyes saw, everything what your eyes saw, you see that. And they are asking, what do you see there? When you look left, what do you see there? And you just start talking. I see this, I see that. What number, what car's number plates is there? And you know, and everything is so crystally clear, visible. It's like it was a shock. And these scientists, I don't think they were put to these drugs, but what I understood is these scientists started talking loudly about this stuff, loudly, and what I understood from that. The being from the Lunar, they said that these scientists were taken down later on. They were taken down or suppressed. You are not allowed to talk about this, and the technology was not given out. So another thing he said is quickly while we're in the. He said tomorrow morning I asked, does somebody have pictures of the moon? Because all the pictures what I saw is they look different from the channeling images that I saw, and he said that the only authentic images that are available has the Chinese. I understood that Chinese had a satellite that went over the lunar and took images of them, and I understood that this being allowed them to do this because the conflict of the US they have and the NASA, what I understood, because of the conflict that they have, they want to put out information. They want to put out information. What I understood about the conflict, how did the conflict happen, is that once the US appeared on the moon, for example, 1940s, the US was like, we want a territory on the lunar surface. We want to do this and that, and the being from the lunar surface said that there is no other way we will cooperate, because this and he said that the civilizations that work on the moon do not know the exact thing what's happening on the moon. They are here to do only the little thing they are here to do, and that's it. No other information, no technical drawings, no situations, no knowledge about what else is there. Only just a brief information what could be there, and it's highly hidden. And he said we can give you the working space to do only these type of works, like observation, like you know, science, and like I don't remember what the information was, like to do a specific type of works. And the US said, oh, who are you? We want to take this. We want to take this state, and you can go to hell. We are taking this. And he said, no other deals will be made other than just this, because Lunar is a neutral zone, and it will always be a neutral zone. What I understood from that information is that Lunar is like a completely neutral zone, completely made from another civilization, a completely neutral, just that all these different varieties of civilizations can just work there and do not war with each other, and it will always be a neutral zone. And also there are many secrets that they didn't tell about the technical stuff, and because if somebody knew, they can, you know, take down the, you know, do threats to the lunar surface, and everything is, there are laws, and these laws are perfectly made that nothing bad could ever happen to this lunar surface, lunar laboratory. And the Americans were let's give them a message. And they, when I understood, they send like rockets to the moon. They, you know, do all kinds of sorts of stuff. And what did the lunar surface did? They just stopped talking completely with the US completely, and instead the US is more active. And what he said also is that you know what humans do, they just go there to Mars. Mars doesn't have a lunar operations center, like a lunar neutral zone. And they go to the Mars, and they land there, and they just blow everything up. You know, shoot down everything. You just take the territory of it. And this will not happen on the Lunar. This was really interesting. This was a really interesting thing. And what else was there? Oh yeah, so they don't talk with the US anymore. They just hands off. And this one I understood that they have like a conflict with the Lunar, with the US as a conflict. And what they said is also what he said later on the information, that there is these Chinese, they have this authentic images of the lunar surface. You can search for that. I think if really some kind of a hacker, he will find those images. And also what he said is also that there is a live stream or images from the exhibition center on the lunar surface, and it can be accessed through our internet. This was another thing, and he didn't tell anything. He showed me that it's like an IP camera or something. That if you hardly look, they have created a hidden camera, not a hidden camera, a hidden IP on the Earth's surface somewhere, through which you can access accidentally this lunar surface, and it's a small percentage chance that everybody will find it. But they have created this just to like examine the conflict a little bit with the US. And also what he said, another interesting thing is that Lunar is, by the year 2100, Lunar will be, as they said, it will be an open zone also for human, and they will have the agreements with human to do a shuttle to the moon, like a tourist shuttle, a scientist shuttle, and from the shuttle they will access 3 other planets humans can access. And they said the benefits of it is that if you go with a shuttle to the lunar surface, then there are available different types of spaceships that can easily jump from the lunar surface to the other planets, space and time really quickly. And this is a little bit difficult from the Earth's surface because of the climate, because of everything. So the lunar surface is a really nice laboratory place, a really beneficial place for humans. This is the brief information which I can remember, and there is lots of more information which I don't think it's allowed to talk. It's about genetics, it's about what civilizations do there, what they work there, but I will translate the Latvian channeling look back to the lunar surface, and I will translate it with all information that was put out through the channeling. So I don't know when, because I have three other channelings to translate. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe actually next week, because I'm tightly busy right now. I don't know, I have lots of things to do. And but of course, if there is somebody that speaks Latvian and willing to translate this to English, even subtitles, it's perfect. You can do this. It's really interesting. It's really necessary, I think.